Konami Studios. Archer Season 11. That's right, the show we all thought was going to end after he got out of the coma in Season 10. It's back, and it's honest to God better than ever. I really think this last season that just came out really did some really inventive stuff with the show. It took it in directions that it needed to go in the modern setting. I know because when you look at some of like the past seasons, they are very innovative and that kind of stuff, but they're very of a time period, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that just means during the cultural time stone things were a little bit different, and we could say different things and act certain ways. But the crux of this season, the crux of this show in this particular season was that we can no longer be like the crazy over-the-top company we used to be. We can't be super drunk, we can't be super sexualized, and we can't go to all these places that you're familiar with the show. And it works to the benefit of the show. I think having that after the coma where he wakes up really helped you understand where this company and where the show needed to go, because it went to new and bold areas in terms of its comedy. This show is still so funny, and that's something that's so hard to say when it comes to a series that's lasted over 10 seasons. Just because it's so rare that you find a show that's consistently that good for that long. And this really just shows you that when you inundate and do some new creative ideas, you can go to a lot of cool places. So this is the shortest season. It is only 8 episodes, and I think that kind of sucks. I wanted more from this show because it feels like it just got here and now it's gone and I miss it already. Like, it's just showed up and it's gone again. I wish there was some more of it to watch and some more of it to see, but I can live without it. It's going to be a non-spoiler review. Not that there's a lot of spoilers for the show, you know? We get your classic episodes where they're doing their missions, people are acting certain ways. We introduce some new characters into the fold that might have connections to other characters going down the line. I think that's kind of cool, but it's pretty much just a return to form for the Archer universe. We see the way he's acted in the past 3 seasons in his coma, you know, the private eye, the fantasy island stuff, and then in the space. But he's back, he's awakened from his coma, and he's learned that his old team of people, the company that was ISIS and the company that was all these other things, they are back to being a spy agency, but they are freelance, they are for hire, but they're by the books now. They do everything properly. There's like nothing bad they do. They don't drink, they don't smoke, they don't do drugs. They're by the books and perfect as can be. And we get this idea in play that every single person is better off because of it. Every one of those people that was part of the agency, Lana, Cyril, Pam, who are the other ones? Cheryl, Ray, Krieger. They're all better people because Archer's not there to weigh them down. And that's a really interesting story about how him coming back kind of brings them back to their old habits. It makes for some very compelling story and very compelling stuff. There's also just a bunch of great jokes that are thrown in here. The idea, there's a whole like subplot dedicated to Archer trying to find a replacement to Woodhouse, and it goes to some very interesting angles. It's such this unique presence onto itself that you know what you're expecting from it, but he's giving it such a hard time because nobody could live up to what Woodhouse was, and I think that's such a really cool angle. One of my favorite episodes actually was when they're in like this Mortal Kombat style tournament fighting ring. I thought that was just so funny, the way all the characters are interacting. There's some great stuff in this season in terms of the Archer and Lana relationship, which is something I like when they explore, just because they are so bad for each other. They're so bad for each other, but they always seem to come back together in the end, and I think that's such an interesting area to explore. And even so, when you get to the finale of this show in this season, it kind of like the whole thesis, I think, of what this arc of the season was supposed to be comes into play. I won't get too in depth into what that is, but when Archer does come back from his coma and returns to the agency, people don't take him as seriously. They're trying to just keep him safe sometimes, but he's still trying to be like the badass spy he always was, and people are starting to fall back into their bad habits. In particular, we see the downward spiral of people like Cheryl and Cyril, and I think it's just a really fascinating angle. And when that comes into like the final episode, you see kind of what the whole idea was, and I don't want to get too into it, but it's kind of just like they're looking for a reason to be their worst selves, and that's kind of why they blame Archer for making them their bad selves. I think that's a really funny and fascinating idea for the end of that show and the end of this season. It just works really well. There was just so much great stuff. We do get a lot of fan servicey moments in here too. Like, we get an episode dedicated to Barry, which I think was actually really good. Like, There is so much in this show I think could have been filler, but maybe because of the fact we made it 8 episodes, it felt very well paced. Like I said, I wish there was more episodes, but the fact that there was 8, each episode I can remember distinctly having a moment that I liked, that I was familiar with, that I enjoyed. And the one with Barry in particular, I think, was very interesting. It went to a lot of great angles. We saw some really cool moments for that character and for Archer. It was just really fun to see that. Going back to this world is just such a fun time, a fun experience. I absolutely adore every time we step foot into the Archer universe, just because it could go to a lot of crazy places. I mean, look at the last couple seasons. We were in space. We were on an island. We're going to a lot of weird and interesting, unique ideas for this character, but bringing it back to basics here and having the idea be, oh, we're not this wild, crazy company anymore. It really was there to benefit the show, and it worked perfectly. It is such a good thing to have the show back in the public consciousness, just because I feel like I've missed it. You know, I wasn't like a huge fan of Archer in 1999, I think is what the last season was called. But coming back here, it made me realize I miss these characters and I like seeing them because they go to a bunch of fun places, and the guest cast in this season was great. I'm not going to say every person, but in particular, I will say Jamie Lee Curtis crushed it. She really understood what she needed to do, and I thought that was really cool. I mean, there's some great other voice actors in here that you're going to love to see. And it's your classic Archer fun. There's going to be so much you like about this. It's going to be very meta because it's 11 seasons. If you're not getting meta after 11 seasons, why are you even doing it? You know, you got to go a little crazy sometimes. So I think that's really cool, really fun. Overall, I think this show was a success. I don't have that much more to say about it without spoiling it. I just think this is one that a lot of people are going to enjoy. A lot of people are going to want to get back into this world. If you haven't been a fan of some of the Mindscape stuff, those ideas come into play here a little bit, but it's back to basics. You're going on your missions. You're having your team back. Everyone's doing their own weird stuff. It's really fun, really interesting. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this season if you want your classic Archer to return. So Archer, season 11, I'm going to give an 8 out of 10. Now, thank you guys so much for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, all that good stuff. And I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.